Welcome to the Tech and Accent podcast.
Here you learn about being an expat, working abroad, technology, and more from non-native English speakers. Let's get into it. Here we are at another episode of the Tech and Accent podcast. I am Walmyr. Today I'm thrilled to be joining with Flavia directly from Australia. Hey Flavia, how are you doing?
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. So today I brought Flavia to talk to us here at the Tech and Accent podcast because she's in the other side of the world. She's there in Australia, and Flavia was one of my mentees at the Test Design Masterclass mentorship group, and I thought, why not to have her here at the podcast? So Flavia, would you mind introducing yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, no problem. My name is Flavia. I'm 45 years old. I moved to Australia 10 years ago in 2014 with my husband and my daughter. I work as a QA engineer and I have a passion for Muay Thai. So I have been practicing Muay Thai for the last 3 years, with the past 2 years under the guidance of a proper coach. And I know you also like to go to the gym, so what do you like to do there?
I do just work out. I didn't know that you were into Muay Thai.
Sorry, I should say before.
No worries. It's good to have surprises as well.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, from where are you in Brazil and where do you live at the moment? I mentioned Australia, but Australia is a big country. Where exactly in Australia, and what inspired you to live abroad? Because in the Tech and Accent podcast, what we try to make is like to bring people that live in different parts of the world to bring their experiences. So what was your motivation to live abroad?
Yeah, I'm from the south part of Brazil, specifically Porto Alegre, which we are both from.
Yeah.
What inspired me to move abroad was like the opportunity to learn a new language, immerse myself in a different culture, try new foods, and explore new places. So I have a bunch of friends that used to live in Australia, but we did a lot of research and check which place we would like to go to learn English specifically. But Canada was the first option, but because the cold, I prefer like the same temperature that we have in Brazil. So Australia was the best option. And we moved first to Sydney because it was easy to find a job, different states, different opportunities. And also the course that I choose to do a bachelor in IT. So the best option was in Sydney. So we moved to Sydney and we lived there for 10 years. We just moved to Perth now because the cost of life in Perth is cheaper than Sydney. And you can buy a house here in Perth and it's impossible to buy a house in Sydney.
Mm-hmm. So most of your time in Australia is actually in Sydney. You moved recently to Perth. I didn't know that. I have a very good friend who lived in Perth, and she used to live in a motorhome, so she was like traveling all around Australia.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a totally different life in Perth than Sydney because in Sydney most of the time I was studying and working. And I did have a car because the transport in Sydney is amazing. And when we moved to Perth, we need to buy like 2 cars because when my husband was outside working, I also need a car to take my daughter to school or go to the grocery shops. Everything here is so far and the transport is not good like in Sydney.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like Sydney is the capital, the big city in Australia, right?
Yeah.
I have it's one of my dreams to visit Australia. We're trying to plan for next year. Can't make any promises, but I really like my wife. She lived in Australia in Sydney specifically for 2 years before we met, and she always tells me very good things about Australia. So I really want to visit it at some point in my life. And talking about Australia specifically, what do you like the most in there?
Oh, what I love the most about Australia is the natural beauty and cultural diversity. Like the landscape here is stunning, like from the beach to the outback, and always have something new to do. So if you go to the CBD, there is always a new culture,
What is
food,
the
or
CBD?
is the city center, like, or
Okay,
where all business is there. So
all
yeah, we
right.
call it. Um, I also appreciate like the laid back lifestyle of people here. So it's easy
I heard
to
about
make,
it.
yeah, it's easy to make you feel at home, So you don't care about a lot of things that you care in, specifically in Brazil. So, for example, when you go to the shopping mall in Brazil, you take a shower, you dress up, you put your
Yeah.
best clothes, and here you just go buy your pajamas, and you don't have to wear anything. You even like shoes, you can go barefoot. So I
That's
feel
awesome.
very comfortable here. I don't
Out
care
of
about.
curiosity, before living abroad, have you had any experience in other countries out of Brazil?
No, I just visit like Uruguay, Paraguay, and that's it. Just
Okay.
for a few days. But I never like being abroad and speak another language. So when I arrived in Australia, I learned English here because I did 1 year course in Brazil, but I just learned like
The very
vocabulary.
basics. Yeah.
And when I arrived here, I applied for 6 months English and go straight to uni. But after 6 months, and I thought, oh, I can't go, I can't speak, I will not understand anything. So I did more 6 months, and then I was finally able to go to uni.
I see. And now that you live for such a long time in Australia, have you visited other places in the in Asia maybe that is closer?
No, not yet, because I was in the process of getting my PR, and if you go overseas, you have to
Ah, I
apply
see. I see.
for policy check and a lot of things. So we are waiting to get the PR. So now that we are waiting to our citizenship that
Mhm.
we just applied. So now we can finally go overseas.
All right. So, and how long does it take to get this PR?
The PR, it depends because you have so many options. So the easy one, if you have, for
And
example,
maybe if you could explain to our audience what the PR is as well.
oh yeah, it's a permanent resident uh, visa. So we come to Australia, we come with a student visa. So I applied to 3 years of bachelor degree plus 6 months English. So it was 3 years and a half. So I did finish my uni in 3 years because I did 1 year of English. So I
Mhm.
have to apply for more 6 months to complete my bachelor degree. And then after that, we apply for post study. So 2 years of visa that you can work full time because on a student visa, you can only work 20 hours per week.
Yeah.
So after you complete the bachelor degree, you can have 2 years of post-study work visa. So I could work like full time and find a job in IT field.
Yeah.
And then if you have a bachelor degree in Brazil, for example, and you have more than 5 years of experience after you complete your degree, you can apply straight away to permanent resident visa in Australia. But you also need more qualifications. You need to prove that you work on the same field in Brazil. So you need all letters from your previous
Yeah.
employers, and then they validate, they call and they check all this information. And you also need at least 7 on IELTS. It's better if you have 8 because there is a punctuation that you need to active to apply. So it's 60 points to be able to apply. But if you have just 7 on IELTS, we are going to get 65. And they have like 100 people they call per year. And if you have 8 or more, they also call first these people that have 95%, you know. So
Makes
you will
sense.
be at least, so maybe you never be able to apply.
Yeah.
So it's
You
very
get
hard
higher
for,
chances if you are in the top of their list.
yeah. So it's very hard because there is no much people per year. And the second option is if you find a sponsorship. So you have to work on this company for 3 years, and then after the company give you the PR.
Okay.
But you also need 3 years experience after you finish your bachelor degree. And I just finished, so I did have all the experience to apply. So my company, I decided to move to New Zealand. First, I applied many times to move to Canada after I complete my bachelor degree, but I could get a vacation because was during the pandemic. So a lot of people was applying. They like, we can accept anyone from abroad just inside Canada. So I could get the opportunity to move there. So I applied.
You could or you couldn't?
I couldn't because I applied, but they say we can accept. Then I try the next year and again, you know, because it's on the University of Newfoundland and it's like 12,000 per year. So it's the most cheap university in Canada because they have a master's with PhD. So that was my dream, to do the master with PhD. And, you know, a lot of people apply. There is no a lot of vacations, so it's hard to get.
I see.
And I apply.
Sorry, go ahead.
Then I apply to do a master's in New Zealand. And then I bought the flight and I applied for the visa. Everything was right. And I get a place to go during the pandemic because you have to get a place on the hotel. We stay there for 2 weeks and then they release you. So you have to apply like every day, and I get a chance. Then I spoke with my CEO and say, oh, I can stay here anymore. I moved to New Zealand because my visa option, I can stay only here if you give me the visa. And he say, why? Yeah, we are going to give you the opportunity. You should talk to me before. But I never expected the company give me this option, you know? So I cancel everything. I just waste money because I did believe that they would give me the opportunity, you know? And then I stay here. They apply. 1 year later, I got my PR. And then after you have your permanent resident visa, you can apply. You have to wait 1 year and you can get your citizenship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in Spain, it's so much easier for Brazilians, at least. After 2 years here, you can already apply for the citizenship, which is just awesome. It's like, of course, you have to do all the tests and everything, but like we are going to do the tests in the end of 2024, and maybe in the first half of 2025, maybe we will be already Spanish citizens. Hopefully, fingers crossed. There is one question that I haven't added in our agenda, but I wanted to explore a little bit because it's actually a bit connected with the next one that is in our agenda. Would you mind telling to our audience a little bit about what you do as a professional working as a QA in Australia? What kind of company do you work for? What kind of software do you test? What kind of tests do you do?
Oh, it's very boring, the field. But, you know, I just had 2 years experience in Brazil, and I was doing a degree in IT also in Brazil, but I don't know, for some reason I found out so hard in Brazil, and here it was even harder. But then I complete my bachelor in mobile development. So we built a lot of mobile at uni. So I create a profile to finish the uni and search for a job. And then I was looking for front end, because they're things that I most like to do at uni. But then I started looking for also QA, because it's something that I knew. And then I applied for both. And I was called for 2 interviews for a QA. So, okay, let's go for QA. So I had 2 resumes from UI and QA. Okay. But, because everybody at uni, it's hard to find a job. It's hard to find a job. And most people are afraid. So they finish and they start looking for different jobs, not on the IT field. But I was working and listening to podcasts all the time about how to do a proper interview, about QA questions. I was just looking.
As far as you get prepared, it's not that hard, right?
Yeah. And I was looking like YouTube videos, how to get a job on Google, on Facebook, on big companies. So I was very prepared for the interview. And I built also a website to explain all about QA, what we should do, a blog. So I have my profile and my blog. But at the end, I did say I put the links on my resume, but they did check. So it was just for my learning journey, because no one checked that. But it was good because I was very prepared. So I got my first job.
If they were to look, it would be there.
Yeah. And then I did this interview on a startup. It was like how to find the jobs. For example, you are a designer, or you are actor, or makeup, professional makeup, or you do just speech, or you are a model. So there's a bunch of opportunities. So you have a company and you need someone to do a Photoshop, shooting your products to sell on your website, for example, and you need someone to come and take a picture. So you go to this website and find people that can do this kind of job. So you post the job and people apply and they hire from the website.
Okay.
So was the testing was most about the algorithm. So we should display the most people that have more jobs. Also the tags that they have. For example, I need a makeup artist for my wedding. So we have some tags like wedding, makeup, So when you there and look for people, should display these people first.
The most relevant content for what they are looking for.
Yes. And then I worked there for 1 year and a half. They sold the company for another company. And they fired almost everybody to rebrand and do everything different from their way, So I started looking for a new job. 2 weeks later, I got a new interview and I got the second job. That is the same that I'm current there for 5 years now. So it was very interesting in the beginning, because it's something that I never did in Brazil, and here is totally different. So they work with tax and superannuation. So I start testing the API to submit contribution files and tax files to the ATO, that is the Australian Taxation Office. So basically, every single employer needs to pay your tax and your superannuation, because here in Australia, you can have a pension, but they don't pay more than $30,000 per year, and it's just after you turn 6-7. So you must pay your superannuation.
So because you wouldn't be able to live just with the pension from the government.
Yeah. So your employer needs to pay your superannuation. So what the providers do, so we have a lot of payrolls, like more than 70 companies do the payroll. So they send your pay slip and you can see your tax deduction and your superannuation. So then the system send a file to us, a XML file with all the details for your tax. So the employer details, the employee details, and we get this file into our system and we send to the ATO, to the Australian Taxation Office. So when you log into your account, to the government ATO account, you can see all the tax that your employer paid for you. And in the end of the financial year, that is 30th of July, you log in and you can see, and then you can complete your tax. So submit and say,
for example, this is the kind of system that you test today.
Yes. So for example, your salary is $100 per year, you will have to pay at least 26,000 tax. So when you log into the ATO, you can see your $26,000 there, and you can do the deduction and complete and send to the ATO and done with the tax. So we send this information to the ATO every time employer do the pay slip, so they send to us this information. For the contribution is the same, but it's a CSV file with all the details again from the employer to the employee. So for example, you are a company and you have 100,000 employees. So everyone can choose different superannuation. So for example, I have Australian superannuation and you have Care Super, there's so many. And then we receive this file with all these employees.
Related to how much you will get discounted from your salary to the superannuation?
Yes, it's 11% of your salary.
I thought it would be different depending on the one that you were choosing. But yeah, no need for that much details. I was just curious.
Yeah, it depends. When you choose your superannuation, you are going to choose which one is giving you more money, because they invest your money to buy stocks or something, so they do the investment with your money. So you have to check which one has more shares or investment. Yes. So we received this file with this 100,000 employees, with every single one has a different salary, different payments to the superannuation, and we send this to the superannuation and also the payment for these funds. So we have to separate, for example, 3 employees has the same fund, so we send just one message to this fund and the payment with the total for those 3. So we do the gateway, we separate everything and send the message and the money.
And what kind of tests do you do there? Is it like manual testing? Is it some kind of automation?
We have so many softwares that provide this kind of things. For example, you also can have your own fund, so self-fund. So you invest your money and you would like to send this money to a different fund, or for your wife super fund. So we also have a software that sends this information. So on this one, we have automate with Cypress. So a user do the registration, then send a message, and we do the payment, check the gateway message, and check the email when the process is done. So I did some tests with Cypress like 3 years ago, but I don't have time now to do more. That's why I did the course with you, because I would like to build more, because we have a huge new software now to do a lot of different process. But we also growing like so fast now, and we are doing with Kubernetes, and we have 3 teams now, and I am part of 2. So 2 different projects with the same software. But I never have a time to automate, and it's something that I would like to do. and learn more.
Yeah.
But
But as soon as you get the time to automate, you get some free time as well, because the script will be doing the hard work for you. So
yes.
it's a balance. We have to find the time to save us time in the future. And now that we talked a little bit about your profession, one curiosity, so in the Tech and Accent podcast, I always try to bring like a question that is kind of different, which would be, if you could choose a different profession, or if you had to, it depends on whatever you prefer. What would it be if you could choose a different profession that wouldn't be maybe IT related? What would you do?
Good question. I think if I had to choose a different profession, I would be like a sports coach, especially in boxing or Muay Thai. Like my passion for these sports like runs deep, and I love the discipline, the focus, and the strength they cultivate.
Yeah.
Like coach will, for example, allow me to share that passion, helping others to achieve their goals, and also develop both physically and mentally.
That's
So
awesome.
it's so good because I have been doing this for 2 years at least, and when I see someone new, they give up on the first day because they think they should be fit before they start, because you have like 15 minutes warm up and it's very hard. So
I can
they
imagine.
just give up. They are
I
dead
did
in
I
15.
did 2 classes of Muay Thai in a long time ago, and I felt it so hard in the very beginning.
Yes, but you have to keep going.
Yeah, for
Then
sure. This is what I like about any kind of sport, that you have to have the discipline. Sometimes you want to go and you go. Sometimes you don't want to go and you have to go as well, because this
yeah,
is what will make you better, right? You have to go every time.
yeah. As one girl that starts and she was, I can't do this, and I said, no, come back tomorrow again. I promise you. And she's going like 3 times per week, and then she starts going every day, and now she's amazing. Like she's learned so fast, and
Yeah,
it's so beautiful and fun to see like how she grow and learn so quickly and doing so much better now.
yeah. It's all about the practice and the discipline, right? You have to
Yeah.
keep up. There is another question that is a classic question we ask all our guests in the Tech and Accent podcast. If you could share, what is your most embarrassing moment living abroad?
Oh, I don't have many.
It
I think
doesn't need
one
to
of
be very embarrassing. Like any funny story you have to tell us.
Okay. One of the most embarrassing moments living abroad was during a math test at uni. So I came across with the word change in one of the questions, and I didn't know what it meant in that context. So I had to raise my hand and ask the teacher for the meaning of that word just to be able to complete the test. So I was a bit mortifying, especially in a room like full of classmates, but it was also like reminder, sorry, of the challenge that come with the learning a new language. So the way he showed me was, for example, he took my mouse and say, for example, this is $10, and you give me 20, so I have to give you back 10.
10
That's
as a
the
change. Yeah.
and okay, it was easy. Okay.
Yeah. At least he knew a very good example to explain you. And it's all about learning, right? Like even living, like I'm living in Europe for 8 years now, and I still have things to learn. I know that my English have improved quite a lot from the time I arrived here from today, but I still have to learn, and you always have like new words, new, like, and depending on where you are, there are new slangs, there are new things that people say like in different parts of the world, that like I consider myself an always learner. Flavia, it'd
Yeah,
be
this
awesome. Oh, please go ahead. Sorry.
This week I just learned a new words that we think, oh, we work every day. We have been through a lot of different words, so
Mm.
there's nothing new to learn. And this week I was doing the stand up and I have to say one word and I never say that word. And then, oh, how can I say this word? Can you please read to me so I know how to pronunciate? Was dishonor. So it's
Disorder.
something that I never say before and it was weird to, you know. But I'm
Yeah.
okay to say I don't know this and help me.
Yeah, one of the reasons Alekson and I are doing the Tech and Accent podcast is exactly to for people that are afraid of speaking a different language that they should not, or that they should have like a perfect accent. They should not. Like everyone has to bring their own self into it, and as far as you do it, you do it with passion and with eager, and then you can make it and you can evolve.
Yeah.
Flavia, it's been amazing talking to you here. Thanks for sharing all the stories with us here. Do you have any final message that you would like to leave to our audience?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate. And my final message is like to embrace every opportunity to learn and grow, whatever is through new experience, challenge, or even like a occasional mistake. Moving to
Yeah,
a new country and adapting to a different culture has like taught me to value like the resilience, the curiosity, and keep to open mind. So no matter where life takes you, remember that every step it's a chance to become a better version of yourself.
loved it. Love the message. Thank you again for being with us here today, and hope to have you at some point, maybe at the Testando na Gringa as well. Have a good
Yes,
one.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast was edited by Ralf Carneiro.